Good day, RGV. Today on Valuable to Vida, we're talking about interesting museums across the globe. We're also breaking down casting details from a new film by LeBron James about his life, and we're giving you details on the history of Hollywood, plus so much more. The show starts right now. Hi there, and thanks again for joining us today. I'm your host, Danielle Banda. And if you love mixing good entertainment with education, then you're gonna love our first segment of the day. You'll also love this story if you're a history buff, okay? See, our team decided to take a look at a map that shows which countries have the most museums, and it also shows that the 20 most visited museums in the world. See, museums are really great, of course, cultural contributions for countries, and it just kind of helps us all to stay united and to witness our progress in humanity and in society. Apparently, a study was conducted recently that shows that the United States has the most museums, but not the most visited. It says that China actually is 15th in the world by number of museums, but brings in the highest number of visitors, and that London museums make up about 1/4 of the most visited worldwide. That's actually really interesting, so we decided to speak with an expert to learn all about it.
Hi, I am Mentor Hoja. I'm the data researcher on Study in Switzerland. Study in Switzerland is a comprehensive resource for studying in Switzerland, aiming to give perspective on current international students a full insight into studying. Since studying in Switzerland main goal is educational, we wanted to inform people about some of the most famous museums around the world. And museums have an important place in every country, so they collect and preserve our objects and materials of religious, cultural, and historical value, and they are also a good source of entertainment. So some key findings in our study are top 20 countries with the most museums and most visited museums. In the very first place, we have the United States of America with the most museums, around 33,000. But when it comes to visitors, the Louvre Museum in Paris has the first place. It tops that list. Then we have Japan in the third place, Italy in the seventh place with the most museums. But by the number of visitors, we have the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York is in fourth place. And let's say in the eighth place, we have the National History Museum in London. As we know, COVID-19 had a huge impact on all of our lives. So it did affect drastically the number of visitors in major museums worldwide. For example, let's take the Louvre Museum, which in 2019, it had around 9.6 million visitors. But following the restrictions of the virus in 2020, that number decreased to 2.7 million visitors. Another example we have, let's say the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, which in 2019 it had around 6.7 million visitors, but in 2020 it only had 1.1 million visitors. Nowadays, these numbers are a little bit higher, but they are still not matched to what they used to be pre-pandemic. Although museums are open now, for some reason people can't attend them in person, there is still a way for art lovers to view thousands of paintings, sculptures, and other installations in another way, which is online through the screen, and it's free. So I encourage everyone to visit museums. They are educational. You learn your stuff. You learn about the history of your country or other countries, and it's fun to go and see interesting stuff.
The United States may have the highest number of museums, but like the study said, we don't have the most visited number in the world. So naturally, I wonder, how much do we know about the history of museums? So according to museumfacts.co.uk, did you know that many historians actually say that the first museum in the world is the one which was built by a Babylonian princess back in 530 BCE. The site also says that Ashmolean was the first public museum in the entire world. And it just seems so common for museums, just to be public nowadays, but it wasn't always that way. And the world's oldest museum apparently goes to Rome's Capitol line museums. Did you know that it was founded with a collection of bronze sculptures for the people of Rome? And then later, after, the famed Capitoline she-wolf actually became a symbol for Rome. Did you know also that according to the site, the Plastinarium Museum in Germany has a really interesting collection of plastinated corpses? Yeah, apparently they, use this to demonstrate the process of plastination, which is very interesting. And while you may not be visiting that museum, you may visit a museum for ramen. Yum. Apparently there's a ramen museum known as the Cup Noodles Museum over in Japan, and it's all dedicated to, you guessed it, our love for the world's first instant noodles. Pretty cool. And Mexico's Museum of Mummies shows off the world's smallest mummy. I mean, all of these are very fun to visit, but many people love to check out science museums in addition to those, for history. Take the American Museum of Natural History. It combines both passions, and they even grow 90,000 specimens every single year. So there's always a lot to check out over there. And if you're into museums that offer a more bizarre type of subject matter, then maybe you can check out one over in India. Check this out. Did you know that India's Sulabh International Museum of Toilets, toilets, actually shows the history of toilets that span throughout the course of many years. And they even have a gold-plated toilet, several of them actually, that used to belong to Roman emperors, and just different medieval figures on display. But that's not all. Okay, apparently they've also got a nice collection of rare toilet poems for the public to read and enjoy. It's it's interesting. And lastly, Froggy Land Museum in Croatia has a really big collection of taxidermied frogs that are laid out in human-like positions like rowing boats or sitting in class. So if you've ever wanted to see frogs, doing human things, then maybe that's a museum for you to check out one day. All right, you guys, with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and then we've got to look at your local weather updates. But be sure to stay tuned because Valley Por Vida is going to be right back. And we're going to be talking about a new film being produced by professional athlete LeBron James and how you just may have the chance to attend a casting call for it. We'll also have fun facts about the history of Hollywood, and that'll be really fun. Plus, we'll have so much more when we return.